ready.
All right. It is August 13th at 6:30 p.m. and this is the Shellfish Committee. Just want to make a notice of recording. Please note that tonight's meeting is recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. And in accordance with MGL Chapter 30A, Section 20, I must inquire whether anyone is taping this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known. All right. First thing we'll do is approve the meeting minutes from May 14th, 2025, which was 2 months ago, or 2 months ago, right?
I'll make a motion. Go ahead.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of May 14th as published.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor of approving?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. And next we got the natural resources report. Amy?
Sure, so growing area updates. I didn't put everything in there, but as most know, June 15th is a closure, the conditionally approved area in the Katuitt Narrows that extends from the mouth of the North Bay to about halfway down the Katuitt Narrows. Water quality pending, that closure will be lifted on October 1st. And then the 15th of September upcoming, we have the Barnstable Harbor conditionally approved areas closures, which again, unlike in previous years, this whole swath can stay open, which is nice. But we do have these areas all closing, and then that closure that extends from Salton Point over to Indian Trail. Any questions about upcoming closures? They're pretty straightforward, annual,
Is that, oh, sorry.
normal expectations.
Dumb question, kind of. Well, not really dumb question, but like just curious. Like I've always looked at this map, and why is it such a triangle? Just curious. You know what I mean?
So that's an interesting question. So it's usually based on where the water quality sampling stations are located that have failed enough times to qualify for a conditionally approved area. And then
like 3 spots in there or something?
I don't know how many spots are in there off the top of my head, but it basically is like they have to then look at the pollution and then do like a dilution calculation to see what that closed conditional area needs to be and what can remain open around it.
But that opens
Water
in the
quality
fall.
pending December 15th.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, and same with CCB 34-1 and CCB 33-0.
31-2 is currently closed right now, right? Did you say it was opening up?
Where?
31-2, that stays closed
No,
off, right?
She was talking about the north
that
side.
right there.
The north
This,
side.
that's conditionally approved. So that closes September 15th.
The Cove in the Tupper Island area, they don't close.
They're
The
not
Jackson
closing
Island
anymore.
or whatever.
And is that the same number as, it's 2-0, yeah, what's up with the numbers? It's kind of weird.
Oh, Scudder.
Because they're the
same number.
Yeah, the same number, but not,
31.2.
Oh, well, it's 0.20
Oh, yeah.
and 0.2.
it's the first time I've ever seen that though.
Yeah.
One is a 2 and
So
the other is a 20.
that's an actual.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
different
the
number?
recreational area was
Forget that.
designated as a separate growing area a
You
number
know you
of
have to
years
put
back
0 right
as a
after your
result
CCB
of
31.
some
Yeah, but
that's
commercial
why.
harvest from within the
0.20
recreational
is the
area.
same as 0.2.
I know. I've already had this discussion.
So you want it like a point
No, I was just-
I said if you write CCB 31,
I don't know.
why do you have
2-1?
to put 0? Because if you write CCB 31 in a math question as the answer, and you write CCB 31.0 in a math question, you can't mark that you're wrong because it's technically the same thing. You're just
Yeah,
writing out longer for no reason.
Yeah.
We're also in Massachusetts.
Yeah. Right.
Right, well, I'll bring it up with Holly, our area biologist.
No, I just,
See if DMF wants to fix something that's been that way
Just leave
since
it.
before I worked here. Which is fine.
please don't do that.
We have, please don't do that, okay. Monthly propagation report from Cecilia Dunham and Jess Cesaria. June and July have been busy months for the shellfish propagation crew.
Who are those people? They're new people?
They're the shellfish technicians.
Who are
So we have Cecilia Dunham, Cece, she was a seasonal employee with us last year and got promoted to full-time this year.
Last fall.
Yeah, and then just started working with us just this year, but is just an absolutely stellar employee and asset to the program, and we're happy to have her.
So there's 2 propagation technician positions now, or how'd that work?
Yes, yeah, that's been
Remember when
in
Nina-
place for like 3 years now,
And then
I didn't realize that.
2 years? It started off with Ryan Henry and Devin Nunez.
Oh, I thought there was like one above the other. I didn't realize it was separate, or like they were both.
Yeah, I know, it's 2 grade 7 positions.
Oh, yeah, it was a year or 2 when they became equivalent, cause before
Yeah,
with.
before one of them was a
Yeah.
part-time,
Yeah, one was like full-time, the other was part-time.
yeah, part-time but year-round, no, or not year-round, sorry, it's like a 10-month position that moved to a 12-month position.
Okay, so there's 2 12-month propagation technicians.
Yes.
Cool.
June and July have been busy months for the Shellfish propagation crew. We've gained another seasonal staff member, Andrew May, who was a previous seasonal during the 2023 season. This addition to the team has helped us with our efficiency and productivity during such a busy time of year. So far this season, they've dug 380 bushels of clams, which have been broadcast throughout the 3 bays. We've been digging out areas of our propagation sites in preparation for planting this year's crop. In early July, we picked up 700 bags of remote set from ARC, 600 bags were placed on racks at Scudder Lane and 100 in East Bay. They've just finished setting up the entire remote system as well as opening all the bags into trays. This year, they're growing 200,000 bay scallops. In 2014, they grew 300,000 25 millimeter bay scallops by free planting on bottom. The scallops they're growing this year are at a much smaller size, around 2 millimeters. The crew's been working to create a long line system that will be installed via scuba diving in Hyannis. They're using a line and buoy system to support about 25 lantern nets per long line setup. We should be receiving the scallops from the hatchery within the next month. That's from Ward Aqua Farms. Yeah. This year has been a great growing year for our baby clams. We've already begun planting the strongest batch of this year's crop. They've planted 450,000 quahogs so far this year out of the Flupsy. On top of all the exciting things going on with our shellfish, they've been continuing on routine maintenance of gear. This included cleaning quahog nets, fixing broken trays, and continuing to fix quahog nets for the next planting season. They're having great oyster growing season. They're projected to have a very good open season this winter. There's enough stock on the ground that we'll be starting with a 1 peck per week limit on oysters across the entire town, not just on the south side. We've had learn to shellfish classes as well as shellfish propagation tours that have had a great turnout with members of the public. They still have more propagation tours and 2 more classes this season. And just by way of reminder to anyone that might be watching, where are they? Glasses. This is a flyer for the shellfish propagation tours that have been ongoing. They have a number of different places that they visit on the north side, and it's basically like a stem to stern, learn how we do municipal propagation on that side of town for interested members of the public. That's also posted on the town's website and at a few busier shellfish landing kiosks in town.
The scallop set, are those, I can't remember where that all left off, is that going off of Calmus, is that kind of where you decided to go?
Yeah.
Okay, and are they gonna be, is that where the plan is to plant them as well? Or is?
Yeah.
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 Directly placed?
It's the most suitable place to
Yeah.
put them.
2 millimeters?
They're 2 millimeters at purchase. They wouldn't be 2 millimeters at plant.
No, but where are you gonna put them when they're 2 millimeters?
They're going inside of those long lines that they're
But where are
making.
those bags going?
So the exact site location, I'm not 100% sure of. I'm guessing it will be somewhere in between Calmus and Esty.
Must be pretty
In
deep,
the-
right? Or are they gonna?
Like floating on buoys?
Yeah, must be.
I'm
Like on
not,
a long line out there?
it's
or
gonna be on
something?
a long
Those
line,
things
yeah.
are like 100
And
feet
it'll be
long.
like,
Yeah, they're
it'll
wicked
be
big.
similar to
You would have to
like
put,
other propagation closures that we have around town where it would be buoyed off. It's gonna have to be in an area that's not high navigation, but that's
Yeah,
also
like mooring
suited
field.
wouldn't
for
like waterways
babies.
would have to know about that, or?
Probably.
Cause we haven't heard anything about it on waterways.
Yeah, well, they're expecting to get the seed in the next month, so obviously Harbor Master's gonna have to sign off on location as well.
They
If
just
it's,
sign
if
off.
it's any sort of navigational issue at all, then they'll recommend vetting through
It's
waterways.
25.
Well, if it's coming next month, and then it should be on this month's agenda, I hope. And then, how many people are in the propagation program? Like, there's two.
Full-time?
Yeah, cause I didn't realize
Three.
there's two full, so there's Liz, 2 propagation technicians.
Huh?
And then how many seasonal employees?
This year too.
And then they're 10 months,
They typically start
or like, I was
beginning of
curious.
April and stay with us through the end of December.
It's like 8 months or something?
We deputize them and they help with
Yeah.
enforcement once the oyster season opens, yeah.
So that's quite long for them. That's not just a summer job, that's a.
No, and every 6 months, because they are seasonal employees, they have to physically, if they wanna continue, be taken out of the system for an entire week. And essentially like what it's called is like P4ing somebody, so it's like you're out
Remove.
and then you can come back in again.
So like, when I got on the committee, and I've already said this many times, Liz was here, Tom was here. Or Tom was here, who's the town biologist, and
At the time.
now Liz is a town biologist, and
Right.
she's running the show. We used to be able to talk to Tom, have input. And I've seen like, the minutes and the agendas from like historically, and the whole time Doug Cowett and Tom or whoever, Chris Clark is all that means, and there's always somebody from this part of the department at the meetings. And I know that recently, for some reason, Liz isn't able to make it, and I'm not sure, I can't remember whose decision that was, but I think it's really important that like somebody is here to answer the questions, because I know that's not your job,
Right.
and we just defer to you, and then you gotta ask Liz, but like, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all busy, like, this is about time right now to talk about this when we're all here.
Yeah,
And every time we're all, you have multiple people in the room that are growing clams and oysters and stuff that have questions, and we can't really, this is taxpayer money.
Mhm.
And so I just would like there to at least be somebody from the propagation department to represent the propagation department at these meetings on some sort of regular basis, more than once a year, more than twice a year.
okay. So I can make that
'Cause it's-
mention to management, but just to put it in perspective to you, because, this is taxpayer money as well.
Mhm.
Alicia is getting 4 hours of overtime for being here. I'm getting 4 hours of overtime for being here. The more people you add to that list, the more overtime it is. It's an automatic 4 hours if it's not a continuation of either of our shifts, which it is not today. So 8 hours of overtime between the two of us for attending this meeting today.
Yeah.
So the more people you add to that, the heavier that
No.
cost is.
I'll pay for it,
so-
it's not a
yeah.
big deal, it's not
We'll
a big
give
deal,
you-
but
we'll give
like,
you the bill.
we need to have,
And-
we have the budget for the budget for the propagation program between all the seed and the materials and the employees and everything that it costs the town. I would like to see a little bit more transparency, a little bit more like direct information and like a presentation about what's going on. Like, I don't wanna have to take time, the Shellfish Committee, Bars gets a whole presentation about, Liz goes to the bars and gave a whole presentation about the propagation program. I don't understand why, like, a comprehensive, like, if I missed the meeting, I apologize, but
Do you want us to go back to, cause basically Tom would just bring essentially like growing area changes, class updates, like where they were,
In the
like where
beginning-
and what they were doing with
in
their
the
seed.
beginning, what I would really like to see is that in the very, very beginning of this committee voted on what was going on. There was discussions about what was going on, and they voted on basically the whole propagation. Now, that's tedious to do every single year, but my goal, and a lot of people's goal, it would be see some sort of like systematic, like every year you can open up this book that says, this is what we do. And I know it's farming, we all know it's farming, but if you just say, we're gonna put this much in this flub seed, this much in here, and just let's like know, like, it just seems like not just the scallops, I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about even with the cohogs or the oysters, it just seems like every year it just changes so much, and it's not like, it's just like, we don't really know, we wanna ask some questions about it, and like, you know, it's not your department, it's not your position, so, you know, we have to defer to Liz, and we just wanna talk about it here, I think, you know, and I'm speaking for a lot of people, you know.
And I'll say the one time that we did have the technician at the time,
Devin. Yeah.
And she did a great job.
Yeah.
And she was able to answer like any particular
So
question.
do you think maybe like splitting up the year, if we had somebody from the Shellfish team rather than myself come like once every 3 months?
Yeah, I mean, like,
Just
you know,
to
we
give a
just,
general
the summertime's
update.
hard, and a lot of us aren't here, but like,
Yeah,
I guess if anything, focus, 3 months sure, or whatever, I'm open to anything, but a lot of like what happens at this committee that I've noticed really happens from like maybe now until we all get busy again, you know, and so to kind of maybe, you know, if they want a break in the summertime when they're busy and we're all busy, then sure, but we can talk about the plan, then get an update on the plan, and then kind of, you know, like, you know what I'm saying?
so maybe like say like
I'm still not always,
like a January or February start.
like, I don't really know what's going on, like, I don't really have any idea what they bought or where it is or at any time, and I know that you guys are concerned about like people stealing clams and stuff, but I just think that we need to talk a little bit more about what's going on. I'd like to know. I don't want anyone to work harder than they have to or do anything else, like more, or make anyone spend any more money than they have to, but I think that there's a lot of people in this room a lot of times that, you know, would like to know, have a lot of questions, and sometimes can't even get the questions answered, you know?
Yeah, sure.
Does anyone else wanna comment on that?
I would like to see that, I mean, I think twice a year isn't on the question, even if they
I'm
just
I
not
think it'd be a little
change.
bit more, I
you
think it'd be more like
I mean,
three-
every other month or something like that?
Yeah, every other
Yeah,
month,
I mean,
yeah,
I would go-
but you could skip the summer a little more real busy, cause we're sometimes really, I don't wanna be
You already
like,
have the plan
I don't
at
wanna
that
ask them to
point.
come in the summertime and we all don't show up, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I'm saying, you know, but like in the summer, in the fall, and the winter, and the early spring, we're all here.
I'm kind of like so where my brain is at on it is like if somebody were to come in January, February and sort of present to you guys what they were planning on doing for the season, and then having like a check-in either in May or June to say like, hey, this is where we at, this is what we've done so far, this is where we're buying our stuff
Could
from,
they do it
this is
sooner?
where we're planting it.
Like instead of January, like I don't know exactly what everyone else, I'm not full-time farmer.
Yeah.
So I don't know what like a full-time person has to like put an order in. I kind of, for my personal, I just kind of buy opportunistically seed. And if I don't get seed, I don't get seed. But I know that a lot of guys that, and I'm assuming the town, depend, like, they have to like, this is the most stressful part of the business is acquiring quality seed. So I think that maybe like talking about it in like a September, October meeting. I don't know what time the orders have to be.
A lot of orders have to go out around November, December with some of the guys up in Maine.
Yeah.
And so talk about it before the seed orders go out and talk about a plan, or hear the plan so that we can give input. I'm not saying like, let's just tell them what to do. I'm just saying, yeah, sure, whatever. But like, let's just hear the plan so we can give some input on the plan.
Yeah, so I'm
And
saying
that's
like
all.
a January, February, like a May or a June, and an October, November would probably be suitable, sufficient for that.
Sure, whatever, before the seed orders have to go on, before you guys have decided what the plan is, instead of presenting us your plan, like as it's going to be, just let's get the rough draft, and then if you wanna change it or not, that's up to
Yeah,
that's
I was
up to
gonna
your
say, just
department.
as a reminder, you're not regulatory authority and you
But
don't get to decide
what I'm looking at in the
propagation
previous,
team.
what I'm looking at in the
spends their
history
money.
of this committee is that that's how it has been done. There's been a precedent that this was discussed, like
There's
in
been
depth.
input when the shellfish propagation program was literally in its infancy stages. We're now 30 plus years into that program.
Yeah,
It's established, and so while you can have suggestions and commentary, it does not need to be taken into consideration and brought into rule if it doesn't fit within the vision of what management and the shellfish team wants to do.
I think
I'm
that
just laying down
the
reality
Shellfish
for you.
team needs to align with standard practices. And that's all we're looking for is transparency to make sure that what they're doing aligns perfectly with like some sort of standard practice, you
Right,
know?
cause there's like a dead set, 100% this is how everybody does farming.
Well, I was told
So,
by Devin
well, let's-
Nunes that they
let's-
were gonna put 3 million baby quahogs into one silo in the Harker Island silo in Prentice Cove at a private meeting with Chris Nappy in Devon. And if you look at what they suggest, that the 80,000 in one silo, you can't put 3 million into one silo.
Right.
So that was what.
Everybody knew that that was not the ideal situation for that one instance, that 1 year. You can't
Why would
use that as
somebody-
a
why would that-
poster child for taking down a
But that's,
propagation
okay,
team.
sure.
Let's
Yeah.
move on. Let's start off with seeing about, seeing them multiple times throughout the year
Yeah,
and go from there. Alright?
That's reasonable. So the other thing I have to bring to your attention is on behalf of Caitlin Maldonado, who's with Planning and Development. They are reaching out with their current efforts to update the town's open space and recreation plan in collaboration with their consultant BSC group. They'll be holding virtual stakeholder meetings to obtain more specific feedback for recreation, conservation, and water resources. They would greatly appreciate help coordinating with the chair of the Shellfish Committee to select a representative or two to attend the Water Resources Stakeholder Meeting to be held Thursday, September 4th between 1 and 2:30 p.m. BSC is currently preparing questions which we will distribute in advance of the meeting. And they'd be more than happy to share the questions with the full committee to coordinate further feedback. So basically, like, I have to attend this meeting, Brian has to, or Jay has to attend this meeting. And it's to help build the open space and recreation plan. So it's gonna be held virtually via Zoom. So they're essentially asking for 1 or 2 people from the committee, preferably the chair and somebody else, to attend on behalf of the Shellfish Committee. So
is this like that comprehensive like town plan thing?
that's the LCP. This is the open space and recreation plan.
But it's like the same
Or
format where they're just
plans.
looking for input from,
When was that?
What,
September 4th.
September
it's like,
4th.
I think it was like,
1 to
it's like
2:30
during,
p.m.
Midday.
yeah, I looked up the time already, I think it's a really bad time,
You do it?
I'll do it,
Okay.
yeah, but
So-
I need a little help with the virtual because home is not working well these days. So if I can go to an office here and sign in, that would be ideal. Deputy office.
Is that possible?
Can you tell me more, so it's
I don't know that that's an option.
it's like a Zoom meeting and like only a certain amount of people, is it like a public thing or like they're looking for certain
So this is like
representatives that talk?
specific stakeholders from specific places to begin this before they
It's not a public
begin, before they begin public outreach.
Oh,
Workshop
okay.
type.
So
It's kind of to like
I'll get the
inform what will
411 on
be,
it and then
where
see
they
what's
go in terms
Are
of
you going
bringing
to
it to the
I
public.
have to.
You have to, yeah.
So Patricia sent out.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll figure out. You can definitely come to my office. I just don't know about, I have no idea how to go in these offices. I don't work over here, so, but I know that we definitely have Zoom at my office, and if you need to sit at my desk with me, that's fine. And then I think,
So
oh.
we're on new business, right, now?
Well,
Or-
kind of. I think it was still in court. I didn't realize that Alicia had put that on the agenda, and I was just planning on bringing it up in
Okay.
correspondence. The other thing is I would like to, in September, bring back the apprentice program discussion. There have been some issues, complaints, confusions on the intent of the program. I think there is some misunderstanding perhaps in the committee even over what was voted on when we changed this regulation and how it applies after someone has completed the apprentice program. So I'd like to just bring it back as an agenda item so that way people who say we're in the lottery have an adequate month to be notified that this topic is coming back up for discussion. Because I think there are probably some stakeholders in the regulation is drafted that might want to have some weigh-in if that regulation were proposed to be changed again. So if the committee is in favor of that, then I'll make it an agenda item in September.
I think that's a good idea.
Alrighty, and then pending any other questions, I think I'm done.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Alright.
Here's a different agenda.
You have the minutes.
I don't have anything, didn't get an agenda yet.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Did I get an agenda?
Well, now we're on to chair and vice chair nominations and vote for 25-26. We were supposed to do that in July, I believe, but here we are. So I guess, does anyone wanna nominate themselves for chair or vice chair?
I mean, I'll nominate DJ again, I think he's doing a great job.
Great job.
Does anyone have a problem with that?
Alright, do we have to do an official vote?
I think a round of applause is perfect.
I
I think that works too.
It's unanimous.
Yeah, I vote, all in favor, I make a motion to recommend nominate DJ as the, chair of the Shellfish Committee for 2025 to 2026.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then, should we do the same for the vice? Any nominations?
Who is it now?
Bill.
Oh, yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Yep,
I'll make a motion to nominate Bill as the vice chair and, for nominee for 2025 to 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Awesome, alright,
That's
easy enough.
easy.
Alright, now we're on to upcoming and old renewal and transfer hearings. Is this the only one? Yeah.
It is.
This is the renewal for license site NG 033 for Sue Nickerson for a period of 10 years, and the hearing is next month. So
The hearing takes place before you guys meet again, so
Yes.
I wanted to throw it on the schedule for this month, just so it has, proper vetting. So we're lucky because Sue and Tucker are here this evening. You have been a grower in the harbor for how long?
Since 2010.
Okay, so a hot minute, yeah. Seasoned veteran, it's a 2-acre site in Barnstable Harbor. She has some natural sets of hard shell clams, razor clams, and mussels, as people do in the harbor from time to time. She cultivates oysters and potentially hard shell clams. And she harvests by hand collection and is requesting a renewal for 10 years. So this is a little schematic of the site. Anything you'd like to add about your renewal?
Not really, I'm happy to answer any questions, but I don't have any myself.
anything from the committee?
No?
No.
Thanks. Yeah, you guys are out there all the time. I know you guys are, yeah.
Yeah, I can say, as far as natural resources is concerned, Sue's up to date on all her paperwork, all her fees, and we don't have any issues with her and would have no opposition to this renewal.
I'm supposed to do something, but I forget.
Yes, you're supposed to entertain a motion to
to-
recommend the town manager
to-
approve the 10-year renewal.
I would move that we recommend approval
Thank you, sir.
of the agricultural license NG 033.
I'll second.
I'm gonna have to recuse myself from the vote just for helping out on Sue's grant, so I'm gonna sit this one out.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
We'll see you in 10 years.
Or tomorrow.
All right. Now for proposed coastal projects. The first one is 0 and 87 Salton Point Road. They met with conservation a long time ago.
They did. They met with conservation a long time ago, then had to go back to conservation, and actually, at the onset of finding out about this filing, I had met with Crawford Land Management probably 2 years ago, and they had mentioned that they had a property owner that had seen a lot of degradation of their salt marsh over the years off Salton Point, and was hoping to figure out a new and creative way to restore the salt marsh. So we kind of talked about it a little bit via Zoom, and then like a year and a half later, they brought something to the state. DEP was very intrigued by it, and honestly, they, given the nature of the project, really didn't have to include us at all, but we're willing to. Liz and I sat down with the consultants and explained a couple of issues that we had with the initial filing. Those being, they had mentioned using something called oyster castles, which at like face value looked like they were trying to catch sets of oysters and create like reefs as stabilization for the marsh, which A, not only won't work in Barnstable Harbor, but B, is like potential for disease vector, and we didn't really feel comfortable with that. And we also don't feel comfortable with anything that somewhat resembles aquaculture not being done by an aquaculturist.
Sorry to interrupt,
So
but I'm sorry, so you said Salton Point?
It would be
Oh,
right
sorry,
at the, could we see a map? Do you have a map of it? I know we've looked at it before, I just can't remember exactly.
Is that like, where is that? Like,
It would be, it's on the point, it's right in front of the yacht club.
I'm just curious, cause I don't wanna,
You know where-
I don't want you to talk about all this and I have no idea what you're, I'm just trying to visualize.
Well,
If you were to go, it's right where Charlie fishes, like right,
Yeah.
if you took the left channel to go towards Scudder. Yes.
Okay. Yep.
good, good.
So
Wait,
that's-
no,
You wanna see a little
no,
kiss map?
Oh, it's off of Scudder Lane?
No,
No.
it's at the second red
What's
can.
what's that little river?
That's the creek, you know where I fish sometimes out to the left? I fish right in front of that.
That's where the camper is almost.
Yes, just the
So
camper
like
is just to the
Barnstable Yacht
left,
Club is like over here,
even further. Yeah.
Rendezvous is
camper is
over
that?
here.
Oh, so that's like when
The
you
owner.
come, so the harbor's to the right.
You just got in trouble fine.
So the harbor is to the right, and then
Around
this
the
is like, that's the point that you gotta go around to go down towards Scudder Lane, okay.
So we can
Alright.
watch it.
So that's the.
Yes.
Okay.
Alright,
So we had issues, but basically oyster castles are, that's just what they're called, and that wasn't the intent of what they're using them for in this project. What they needed to do was create sort of tiers of stabilization around what they're going to be planting to protect it from Barnstable Harbor. So we asked, initially they had requested 3 tiers, and we asked, could we start with the 2 and see how that goes? And once that either stabilizes or doesn't, move into a third. They were
What's a
receptive
tier?
to that. So it's
Like
like 3 lines basically
How big though?
of these oyster castles, which are basically like just cement blocks.
Like this big?
No, not that big. They can just be put out by hand.
Oh, this
They're not,
one?
I don't know exactly how big, but
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm just
So was
curious.
it stop the erosion, is that what it is?
No, it's actually to help restore the salt marsh. Other
Can they
concerns.
protect the baby plants that they put in there with these, and then they'll
Between
establish
tides and
between
things.
before they establish them.
Mm-hmm. So the other, if you ever go down there off tide, you'll notice that one of the neighbors over time has used like oyster bags filled with oyster shell to try to shove under the degraded marsh to help restore it. Limited, if no success, but that is kind of a piece of this puzzle. So we brought to them our concerns about using oyster shell even in biodegradable bags that hasn't been aged properly. So they've included that in sort of self-imposed orders of conditions. And then because this area has degraded for so long and is intertidal, there are some shellfish set within the footprint, and although this wouldn't typically require them to allow us time to remove anything, they are allowing us adequate time before starting the restoration project to move anything that needs to be moved.
You guys do that?
And then the last thing was their monitoring program. They typically only have to do a visit once every 4 months, but because some weather events can be very volatile in the harbor, we ask that they also include any weather events to just go make sure that what they're putting out there just doesn't end up all over the harbor. and they were agreeable to all of those things. So it went to the commission approved it, and so it's moving forward, but that's kind of the quick and dirty on that.
Interesting. And that's completely private, like they hired someone to do that?
Yeah, and they
Crawford,
even, Crawford Land Management admitted that, this is the first time that they're sort of doing a project that bleeds into a water body.
Yeah, that's
It's not
way
something
out.
that they typically do, so it's
Way
new
out.
for them. But in all honesty, the project description, it is very intriguing, and if it is successful,
I mean, there's a whole lot of marsh.
there's a whole lot of salt marsh that needs restoration in this state, so, and beyond.
So so they restore this marsh, they're gonna put up all these squares and all these things. How does that affect foot navigation, I guess, for?
It doesn't.
So you can still traverse over a top?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's just, cause it's gonna go way out.
No,
No, it's not gonna go that far.
it's actually only going out to where the salt marsh used to exist,
Oh,
like
so that's
10,
limited
15
footprint.
years ago,
Okay,
yeah.
alright.
I just have a question, like, I know the area, and like there is some shellfish there, and it's not like a crazy amount, but like, would you ever consider like, even not commercially, but like even recreationally, especially maybe in the summertime, instead of having the town go down there and like, dig up steamers that might not dig back in because they're over, 2 inches and stuff, just like opening like an extra rec day or something to just like get people right in this area to just clean it out instead of like, having the whole propagation program down there for like a basket or something,
I guess in this instance, because there would be no mitigation requirement for it, which then would require us to do the
Yeah.
removal, that could be entertained.
Yeah, just like, easier on literally you guys.
Mm.
You're gonna just move, like just the fact, just digging up something and moving it always has a loss, no matter how gentle you do it. And in a small area, I don't know, just an idea, just like maybe let the rec people have an extra, like an extra day or something, but you can only go, like a relay, but for rec people or something, like
I hear
you
you
can come
saying.
here on this day, or I don't know. Thanks.
Alright, so, any further comment on that one?
No.
If you guys have
Nothing.
questions that I can't answer, I'm sure if I asked Crawford Land Management, they would be happy to respond.
I think it would
but-
be interesting to hear from them at some point,
Well,
like,
I
just to see
think it
how
would be
it goes.
interesting to hear, to
You know?
have an update and like they still have a long way to go, cause I think they have to pull a chapter 91 for this, so.
Yeah.
So
And I
there's
wonder
still-
if there's anything,
But they have local approval and they have, DEPs into it, so.
Yeah.
It's cool.
next we have, Stephen and Wendy D'Angelo, 108 Long Beach Road, Centerville, Mass. And
Consultant is here,
Yeah.
yay.
Daniel?
Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Chairman. Freshly minted, and
Yeah.
once again, Chairman, and members of the Commission. Dan Ojala, I'm a land surveyor, civil engineer, and with Downcape Engineering in Yarmouthport. And we're helping D'Angelo out with a little dock he's got in kind of a backwater off of the Centerville River. This is way up at the beginning near Craigville Beach. It's that little neck that comes off of Centerville River, so there's not really a current that comes through here except just a little bit in and out. The main river heads to the north and goes under the bridge and up. So this is kind of a backwater. You don't usually come in here unless you're lost or just kind of sightseeing or something, but it's a little dead end. I think there's 5 or 6 houses past us and then that's it. He's got a small dock and pier licensed, and the request was he'd like a little bit bigger boat so he can go over to the island once in a while. The commission wasn't too fond of him having this big a boat, so they wanted him to go down to a 25-footer that would fit within the length of the pier. So what we've done is taken what we'll do from this starting point, which the commission wasn't too fond of, is we're going to shorten the float up a little bit, a couple of feet, and put a 25-footer on there and pull it in a little bit. They felt that if you lined up, the next guy here has a little bit bigger boat, it's a little further up, but they drew a blue line at the meeting between those two boats, and so if you pull it in, it's gonna be on over about 8 feet or so. and put a 25-foot boat on, they thought that was reasonable. You know, we went out, it'll still be probably a little over 2.5 feet of water on the float. It was dredged at one time. It's a fairly deep channel there, I think, all things considered. But he'd like to put, you know, a good size, or at least a 25-footer on there, so he would like a little bit more leg room, and so that's a request. It's muck in there, I don't think there's any shellfish, and not a great habitat, but, you know, they mentioned, you know, shading and loss of public, you know, trust and so forth, as reasons to have it be a little bit smaller, so along those lines. And then the Conservation Commission, you know, a little bit of hazard of navigation, even though, like I say, it isn't the main channel where everybody's going up and down, it's a backwater. It's, you know, 70 feet or a little less to another boat that's across, so they thought pulling it back a little bit would be appropriate, so that's what we're dealing with here. If you have any comments, we'd be glad to incorporate them.
What is this thing here?
The distance from the next dock, I think.
Yeah, so those are dimension lines.
They're just,
Yeah,
okay,
just dimension
it looks
lines,
like
yeah.
a structure.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not a rope or anything now, or a boardwalk, no, it's just dimension lines. One is 73.5 from the float to the boat, and 84.8 to the,
The Concom has already heard this.
once, yeah,
Oh, but still.
once, and the abutters weren't too happy either, and the conservation was
Okay.
not so happy, and then we hadn't heard from Harbor Master either, so we continued it to talk with those folks and get your input. And I think that the schedule is we're gonna go back.
8th, right?
Yeah, it's it's the August 5th. It will continue to September 9th. And then August 26th is waterways, so we'll get waterways in probably in the next few days. And, you know, like I said, a little bit shorter float system and shorter pier. And they'll be heard on the 26th, and then it would be just after that for September 9th on conservation. So if you could get your comments before that, that'd be great, and I'm glad to answer any questions.
Is that area pretty stable, or over a period of, let's say, 2 or 3 years, is it going to silt up?
It's continuing to silt up.
Yeah, I mean, my point is then you have to be careful of the size of the vessel you bring in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think siltation is a particularly fast event in this area. You know, there's not a ton of salt marsh, it's just a fringe, so there's not a lot of plant matter that's settling out. I'm sure it would be, you know, millimeters, you know, on the millimeter scale per a few years. I don't think it's a big factor. Yeah,
I have a concern with it just because that isn't very deep area in there. And you can see in your picture, you know, whatever, 2.5 feet. I mean, I know the requirements. This committee in general doesn't already agree with the requirements. I would say, I'm not trying to speak for everybody, but in general, doesn't agree with the requirements that the Conservation Committee has for boat. You know, we just don't agree with it. It's the mean low water line is what they have, and that's only a portion of the year, and we have moon tides, and that's enough to cause damage. You know, so the mean low water line to us isn't really anything, and then the depth doesn't go down much. You know, I mean, you're saying 2.5. I don't know what that on that says, but it looks like it goes down to 3 feet or.
Yeah, and on the outboard, it continues to go down. On this particular project, we use mean sea level data rather than mean low. It's NAVD 88. And so you'd be looking at subtracting a little more than a foot for mean low, but there's a -8 out here, not too far past the boat, -7.
What?
So there'd be about a -6. But then when
-6 what? Feet?
Mean low water, you'd have 6 feet of water.
Mean low water, you have 6 feet of water?
Yeah, so it's kind of deep, actually.
Okay, that's pretty good.
But it does come up, and that's where we're trying to reach out.
Right on the edge though, you know, you're gonna just, with a, you know, I know it's a 25-foot boat, but I'm sure it's gonna have at least 2 engines on it, and it's gonna pull that out, you know, it's gonna blow out the bottom there a little bit, and then you get a little bit more coming off from the higher spot, you know, everything rolls downhill a little bit more, and then I know that they are sticking out way more than their butters, and then it's just gonna cause the next guy to say, well, this guy's going out to here, so I might as well increase my boat out to there, and then my boat needs to go out to there, cause that guy's boat's out to there, so we're really concerned about the environment here, and I personally don't agree with extending it further than the butters and making sure that there's plenty of draft if you do put a dock there and it goes as far as the butters, making it, you know, suitable draft, you know, maybe a dinghy, you know, which is really kind of what historically or over probably the whole history of Cape Cod, that's mostly probably been more or less a dinghy area, like a small, less than 20, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, the neighbor across the way has got a pretty good sized boat, but this is kind of it's a backwater, it's the end of this little dead end. So, it kind of is what it is.
It's the empty, it's a lot without a dock?
No, what it is this house, yeah, so
Can
this
you
is.
pass that down this way a little closer, please?
Yeah.
You should, I sure could, but just
Yeah.
while you're looking at it is, when this subdivision was laid out, a lot of the houses on this side, you can't have a pier on the open water, so they give them a pier lot on this side. And so that's what we have here, at 108. 103 is the main property, and then the accessory piece is 108, and that's our little boat right there.
Okay.
And, you know, could they have a small dock and get a mooring and put a bigger boat out in the middle? Yeah, that is a possibility, but, you know, we're pretty close to meeting all the requirements, and this was the ask. So, you know, your comments are welcome. You know, again, it's, back in the day, they had sailboats, and before that, birch bark canoes, but, you know, it's a progression, and as long as you don't damage the environment.
Now, how much further is the proposed pier? How much longer is it than the adjacent?
So right now, it's a little bit shorter, and the proposed is a bit longer. You know, we'll probably stick out, it's 42 feet. And the neighbor is probably on the order of ish.
So, I mean, as far as Shellfish goes,
Yeah.
they looked at it and there was,
Our findings were consistent with the findings of the person who was hired to do the shellfish survey, and it is in fact a mud pit. You know, it's so far up into the Centerville River. It's obviously in a prohibited area, and we thought that the biggest issue for this applicant is probably with waterways.
yeah.
I know exactly.
It's with
what it is.
waterways.
Oh, yeah.
It's a single crab, and it's a piece of blue crab.
Yeah.
I would just say that,
And
I know that it's a muck pit, right, and there's not much there, but like, I think Tom used to always say, death by 1,000 cuts, right? So like, you know, there's got one boat in there, and then there's siltation on the outgoing tide. We have this precious Centerville River that is just like a mother to cohogs, and we're gonna, on an outgoing tide, you got one boat, and then you got two boats, and you got three boats, then we got all this siltation going on in the heat of the summer when they're having the hardest time to survive with the most deprived oxygen, silt on the way out, and I'm just like,
yeah.
I mean, you know, and we're trying to put sewers in this town to make it cleaner. And when it's clean and we're doing better maybe in 100 years, like now we all of a sudden we have all this other stuff that we put here because it wasn't good now, but now it could be good. That's how I feel, you know?
Completely agree. And, but from the sounds of it, it seems like.
Yeah, so I'd like to make a motion to, I don't know, like.
I mean, we can't, there's nothing we can really write to the conservation just because of the lack of shellfish. But, you know, we can write to them as far as the, you know, the conservation of the environment around it.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I can write something up.
Possible siltation affecting our relay area.
Yeah.
But it is very close to our relay area, you know, and, you know, I know that might not look very close to some people, but then you start putting more of these in and more of them in, there's already a lot of them in, you know.
Yeah. Any other comment? Alright, thank you, Dan, for your presentation.
No problem, I appreciate your careful consideration and so forth, and, yeah, on the part of that, it's, you know, it's a low value shellfish area with the town maps, it's prohibited shellfish growing area with the state maps, and, you know, we're quite a bit over the minimum that the Conservation Commission allows, is 12 inches from the bottom to mean low water in those type of areas, but again, if you have a stricter standard or would like to have a stricter standard, we're happy to listen to it, and appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, 260, 270 Vineyard Road LLC, Vineyard Road, Katuitt, John O'Day is the engineer, he's not here.
He is not, because this went before the
Yep.
commission. It was continued to last night.
Okay,
And the update, that I got from conservation after I was off duty for the day. Notes regarding the following project that I had requested last month, 260-270 Vineyard Road LLC. The project was approved by the Conservation Commission on August 12th, 2025, subject to the receipt of a revised plan removing the proposed 110-foot cobbled berm extension, topping to 5 feet height any undermined trees marked on the plan, and leaving the fallen trees marked on the plan where they are. And that was consistent, with what John O'Day had said. Commission was supportive of much needed revetment repairs, but did not approve the proposed additional cobbles along the shoreline to the northwest, which would have required traversing along the upper beach with a small machine. So the project has been reduced to repairing the top of the revetment, working on the upland from the upland only, no work or even access required on potential shellfish habitat. So that one's just kind of done.
Yep.
And we, Natural Resources at the time, didn't take any opposition to it because they weren't planning on doing any work in shellfish habitat.
On to the next one. 307 Millway Road, Barnstable, this is from the town, this is their dredging plan.
This is it. If anyone wants to take it on, feel free.
This is
That's
for the
it.
boat ramp?
That's for specifically
Just the boat
routine
ramp?
maintenance dredging of Barnstable
Can you pull the
Harbor
map out?
mid-entrance channel, last dredged in 2017, and
Sounds
the
like
Blish
luck.
Point Boat Ramp last dredged 2021. If you want to pull the map out for everyone to look at, it's gonna look better than if I put it online. So it was approved
Yep.
by the commission. I asked Griffin from DPW for an update. He was not at the meeting, so he had somebody put it together who was. Project overview, routine maintenance dredging of Barnstable Harbor mid-entrance channel, last dredge 2017, and Blish Point boat ramp, last dredge 2021. Goals, clear the boat ramp and channel to restore navigational safety and promote use of the Blish Point facility at all tides. Permit status, notice of intent, order of conditions, project was approved pending natural heritage endangered species program comment letter in the last hearing was continued to the 5th of August. DEP Chapter 91 pending DCR green docket review. DEP 401 WQC application has been submitted. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers PCN application has been submitted. Bid package, FOF is currently working on the technical specs and contract drawings and anticipate ready for town review on August 15th, out for bid end of August, early September. Construction, 1 to 2 weeks of dredging complete by anticipated time of year restriction of December 31st. Recent communications with Natural Heritage have identified potential time of year restrictions for reptiles that may conflict with this schedule. So they're waiting for further confirmation from Natural Heritage.
So they have until December 31st?
Anticipated, yeah, I mean, they're
It's just, the
still,
last time it was during the poll, right?
Well, that's
And
kind of a
that's
crucial
that's the
time.
one thing
That's
that
a
we gotta
crucial
watch
time
out for.
yeah.
All of us.
So, I mean, they have like pending review for Chapter 91 and still DEP and Army Corps apps that have been submitted but not yet reviewed.
Okay.
So I don't know,
When?
if that's, I mean, I'm sure they wanna get it done this year if they can get it done this
Yeah.
year, but I don't,
It was 2017 last time.
for the mid-entrance channel.
Yeah.
For the
And
boat ramp,
21.
it was
They're just
2021.
doing, it looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, that just the dark gray areas are being done.
I think so.
I don't know what they did last time, or there was like, it was.
They were more out in the channel.
Okay, that one, yeah, okay.
Yeah. They were like midway out in the channel around that first turn.
Which, yeah.
And then they used just the excavator and then hauled all that stuff out. And then 17 is when they did the dune restoration.
They pumped
Two?
it.
Yeah.
Do you know method?
I think that was 2021.
Was it?
That
Oh,
was
during
post-
COVID?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd imagine the excavator, do you know method of
Well, it's
use
still out
here?
for bid, right?
Don't they do the bucket, like
Well,
they
usually
scoop it
they
up,
have to-
right? They
well,
scoop it up
they
and put it on the
sell
barge.
Last time actually it was crane, and then
Yeah.
they did bucket.
Or whatever, they
excavator
put it
at
on,
that
they
time.
put it onto something. and-
Yeah,
and
well,
move it out.
sometimes they'll
I
such
think
in one bid,
dredge
sometimes they.
spoils from
They
this
don't
have to
usually
be
marshal
taken
them.
away.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
gonna
They
be
were-
used for
oh,
any
okay.
nourishment projects.
Cause they were hauling it outside of Boston, I
Yeah.
think, last
To
time.
the dump.
Um,
Yeah, well,
So we'll get
So anyway,
updates with that.
Yeah, you'll get updates as that, comes into fruition. Obviously, anyone who's a grower, anyone who's a wild harvester, anyone who helps that waterfront will be notified anytime any update is available. But if you have any specific questions that I, as a not engineer, cannot answer, then I would ask that you refer them to Griffin Bowden at DPW.
I mean, I saw the whale watcher dredge it the other day, so
I followed him out this, I wanted to turn around
there was
after
a
this
wind
morning.
pushing him right up against the bar, and I'm
There's
like,
some
he
sands,
was
there's nothing
full
small.
tilt.
That thing's a huge set.
Alright, and then Sandy Neck Lighthouse Trust, 373 Sandy Neck, Barnstable. This is Dan again.
For the record, Dan Ojala, land surveyor, civil engineer, Down Cape Engineering in Yarmouthport. And we're helping Ken Morton, who's the current trustee of the Sandy Neck Lighthouse Trust. It's the property that has that, the iconic lighthouse out there. Ron Jansen and some others helped get the light going, 15 years ago or so. And there's a historic preservation and so forth on that. These are, as part of that agreement, these groins can be rebuilt. They're existing licensed. They're, the old-fashioned sand catcher style wood groins. It's license number 5074, so it's quite old. In 2006, we actually, I think it was Ken at the time, we got permission to redo them and this bulkhead. And the funds weren't really in it to redo those. He did do the bulkhead. Conservation Commission has looked at this preliminarily, but did want to, hear from you guys and the harbor master. Again, it's everything's pretty acclimated to it. These go down. It's at high tide they can be a little bit problematic, so we're lifting them up so that they're a little bit more visible on the higher tides. I mean, you normally don't get that close to shore with boats, but just so we don't clip anybody, raising it up, the piles up a little bit so that they're a little bit more visible. But they appear to have some functionality there. They're holding back a little bit of sand, and they've historically always been there. So the thought was to rebuild them, in the same place. Then talking with the installers, there are some it's rocky, but there's, to the extent that there's some shellfish. If recommended by you folks, alternative mats or equal can be temporarily placed on the beach to lessen the impacts. You'd use a little excavator with a vibratory hammer to push these, vibrate them in. And the mats will support a 20-ton vehicle. We figure a 10-ton rubber-tired excavator would be utilized to install the pilings. You hand jet them a little bit and then vibrate them in. That's about it, I suppose, from your side. Most of the equipment will arrive by boat, some arriving by the outer beach to Trail 6 if necessary. There are some time restrictions on that for shorebirds, plovers, and terns, so there's a time of year restriction. The little packet that we put in the NHESP has a few conditions at the end. time of year, no work between April 1 and August 31st. So September 1st, you can start. The birds have all fledged and are out of there by then. So that would be the extent of it. Again, it's temporary impacts, just replacing what's there. I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Anything from the committee?
I don't think that I've ever seen those things impact shellfish, but I just am curious. What are they like? I've seen things that they're like. I'm just curious. Like, what are they for? Like,
Just erosion prevention, right?
Yeah, you have a littoral drift, and it's kind of neat. When you have a prevailing westerly wind, the waves will run up, to the east and then come down and run up to the east and come down. And so you see what they're doing is they're moving the sand down the beach. And these tend to catch them. They call them sand catchers, but they'll build up on the high side. They do tend to erode a little on the low side, but historically they kind of act like a snow fence and slowing down the erosion and building up the beach a little bit. So that's why they put them in historically. How effective they are, it's a little bit debatable, but they seem to be doing something anyway.
I don't think there's a lot of shellfish there, and is a very erosive spot too. So I'm okay with that. Unless anyone has anything else.
Anything from?
No, we thought suggestion of alternative mats, which they had already put in their filing,
Yeah.
was the use of mats for the equipment would be
Oh,
enough to mitigate those potential impacts to whatever's there while the work is ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't foresee any other issues.
It's probably a quick job.
Yeah, we can
They'll
do
get
that.
that. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to recommend, the
We don't have.
Oh, we don't know.
No.
Old business? Old business.
No, I'm just saying, we're still on this, lighthouse.
I thought you had to do it,
No vote. I did it once a while ago, but we didn't have to.
Sorry, I didn't realize we didn't know that.
Yeah, no one has, anything else about it, I mean, sounds like we have no issue with it, and, yeah.
Take it away, Tim.
And last thing is old business, behavioral expectations, regulation discussion, and we had brought this up back in May, right?
Yeah.
Just to give the officers, the department, a little more leverage with, or just having it in the regulation, right?
Exactly.
Just having a
So,
note in there.
At the last meeting, when I had brought these up as regulations that we wanted to implement, there were suggestions at the time, requesting specific definitions of like what is aggressive behavior, inappropriate or aggressive behavior toward other shellfishers and or natural resources staff will result in the violator's catch being confiscated and the violator's shellfishing privileges being suspended for a period of no less than one shellfishing week. So we are kind of living in this world now where we see instances that don't necessarily call for police involvement, but that we have limited capacity to deal with in a meaningful way. For instance, a number of years ago during the pandemic, there was a person digging steamers, and they were very clearly the only person digging steamers. They were not backfilling any of their holes. So I requested that they backfill the holes, and they said they would, and I said, well, I just wanna make sure that you do, so if you could just do that now, so I ensure before I leave that it happens. To which that was not received well. To which I was threatened with physical assault. To which I'd like a situation in which I can meaningfully deal with that at the time by stating, okay, well, if you can't act adult today, then you don't get to shellfish today and try again in another week type deal. So threat of physical harm to an officer or member of the general public, witnessed by an officer, use of a shellfish tool or boat to threaten physical harm, which also would have to be witnessed, continued harassing comments after being warned umpteen times that it isn't appropriate. This happens a lot when dealing unfortunately with members of the opposite sex in the general public, whether you're a female or male officer.
Wait, what was that last one?
Harassment from the general public towards a member of our staff who is of the opposite sex.
Mm-hmm.
Happens to males and females. We have a lot of females that work in our office right now. This is consistent with, I know there were concerns about there being treading on First Amendment rights to free speech. That's not the intent of this. If you look at the beach regulations, equally very, very broad. So it is, where is it on here?
Comply with.
Failure to comply.
Yeah,
Don't listen, see you later.
yeah, exactly.
And I think that's.
And then Sandy Neck regulations, also equally as broad. Abusive, inappropriate, or aggressive behavior towards other beach users and or Sandy Neck staff will result in the violators' removal from the beach for no less than 24 hours. In addition, they may have their ORV permit suspended or revoked. So this is kind of just like a broad way to deal with instances that we know as officers, and it's consistent with how the beaches are managed and behavioral expectations of the general public utilizing those beaches. It's consistent with Sandy Neck ORV users, and so we feel it's unfortunately necessary to extend it to those, using our waterways and townways to water for the purposes of shellfishing. If you think the punishment is too steep and want me to revisit that, I'm fine with it, but it really, these types of regulations are always subject to officer discretion. It's most likely that, like, in the first instance of something like that, we confiscate your catch and say, like, you can come back on the next tide. And then if you have a repeat offender, then your punishment becomes more severe over time. So
I think that, if you were threatened on the flat, the cops should be called, and abusive, inappropriate, and aggressive behavior, it seems like to me those words are like you're breaking the law, like abuse and like inappropriate is hard, but aggressive and abusive, that's just like a law being broken. So like now I understand your positions, but like I just feel like when you leave it up to just people's discretion, without being able to like define it clearly, that's where I really have a problem with it.
You have witness in those types of situations, right?
So wait,
Or
if
something like that.
somebody,
Yeah.
if somebody from if this is an interaction with an officer,
Mm-hmm.
then this would give us the discretion to deal with it at that moment in time.
Yep.
If this is being reported by the member of the general public, or if we witness it, we would have to witness it as an officer if it pertains to a member of the general public being inappropriate with being aggressive towards threatening physical harm to another person from the general public. We can't issue citations, we can't take enforcement action on something that we don't see.
But you can
No, but like even
call the local
even
police
this-
officer to get to the scene. And if it's something that they would certainly have issues with, then I would call them.
Right, so what
I
I'm
wouldn't hesitate
saying
on
is
that.
that these are not instances that are requiring like clear cut police involvement. And oftentimes it's just me, say, as an officer, and another person from the general public. So calling a police officer to a scene that happened between two people,
It's civil.
That's what I'm
Is-
saying. I think it's just like
Well, you guys currently have nothing.
Well, how,
you can't charge. We're just making up a
They
rule.
currently have nothing other
Like
than,
in
unless
case.
it's a shellfish,
For
like,
what though? I'm just
ordeal,
trying to say, what's
like-
the crime?
well, how
It's
does
not
that differ?
necessarily
I just
crime.
ran through, 5
If
different
someone
examples.
threatens somebody, then you call the cops.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
but the
if
immediate
somebody-
impact, like,
Yeah.
if
It's a
she's
privilege
there.
to be a part of the natural.
And
I would say that this
that's-
would have to be.
Or whatever.
I would feel comfortable if this was going on. This law goes in effect as long as there's a police report. But you can't just,
So there's-
I wouldn't feel comfortable initiating this, like taking someone's license or something because a staff member didn't agree with the way somebody was, like, you know,
To be clear, anytime I issue a verbal warning, an incident report is created. So anytime we have an interaction with a member of the general public or a member of our privileged fisheries that requires an enforcement action on our end, there's a report. If there's documentation, like in the form of photographs that needs to be taken, like if I check your basket of quahogs and I say you have more than 5% seed, and I go through and I pull out the seed and I have the rest of your catch and we take a picture and that gets added into my incident report for why you were either issued a verbal warning, a written warning, a citation, or if you have been a routine offender to our shellfish regulations, we recommend either a suspension or revocation of a permit. You know, there's always a tiered approach.
those are crimes. Like taking too much seed and taking over your limit are already regulations that are clearly outlined in our yes and no.
Right,
And
so
this is
what
up to
I'm
discretion,
saying,
this is too much discretion for my, you know what I
it's
mean?
really not. I think you're reading into it too much,
Yeah.
Jake. You know, like I said, these
You think so?
regulations for Sandy Neck and for our beaches have been in place for years and have not resulted in anyone being charged with taking their discretion too far.
I've been,
Like as
you know,
people who work for the
threatened by the
town,
department in several different ways for speaking for First Amendment
What
rights.
do you need from us?
So that's my position.
I mean,
I've had-
I would like
I've had
a vote on it
serious
if you're not
conversations with Nina and
willing.
Brian about it.
One conversation, please.
I would like a vote on it. If you don't want to take a vote on it, it's my intent to draft a policy for the department anyway. So,
Well, after sitting here quietly and coming from corporate America, when I was running the Department for Health, Safety, and Environmental Concerns, and I reported up through the legal counsel, and I invited the area director for OSHA to come in and review my programs. And she said they were phenomenal programs, they were written well, and she says, can I ask some employees in your office right now, can they explain it to me what these rules are? And when she went down, she just got a couple of longshoremen, a couple of lab technicians, and out of 10, not one of them knew the regulations. So she says, you're not being cited, but you have to play to the most common denominator. Says you've got to make it simple, you've got to make it direct. And I just remember revising a hydrogen sulfide program, and it was in one paragraph. And I said, if you inhale hydrogen sulfide without a mask, you're gonna die. And she was good with it. She says, perfect, you reach their level. So when I thought about this, when I reached out to Amy, I would like to see something as part of the license when you sign up online, where you sign off on a code of conduct so that they can never say, I never saw this before. So they are aware of the rules and regulations. So now we have teeth in what we do. This is an embarrassment because as adults, we shouldn't be here telling people how to play nice in a sandbox. It's a shame, but unfortunately, this is where we are in 2025. So everything that Amy has written, perfect. I don't have an issue with it, but I'd like to see it distilled down so when you go for your license, that you get something like that shrunken and you sign for it. So when before you get your license, you have to agree to it. Yeah, again, we're play nice in a sandbox. We shouldn't be there, but we are. Thank you for your time.
I think that's too complicated.
Certainly food for thought.
People should know how to
I like
behave.
it, but not instead of signing for it, just shrink it down, but make it the rule. Maybe you don't have to sign, the rules are the rules, you don't have to sign for it.
It's simply what she's asking for is like how Sandy Neck has that written line on it, am I right?
Mhm.
So it's just adding it to the regulation,
I think about like, what's different between the beaches and Sandy Neck and just being out in the ocean, is that like, that's like town property or state property. And like, when you're out on the flats and you're out on the water, it's not. And so, you know, they have control of this. I just,
Jake, you know, I mean, all that she's asking for is when one of the officers accosts
says that you were bad,
they're
that
doing
they can
something
give you a
wrong,
punishment,
and they
it's
get a whole lot of SHIT back from them.
Listen.
That she can do something about it, that's all.
I know,
Just as simple as that.
But my problem
Nothing
is,
to do with being in the
is
ocean or-
that the government is just overextending a little bit, and I just feel like, not to make this a broad picture or anything.
I just don't think it needs to be this complex.
I don't think so
It
either.
doesn't.
That's not the intent. The
Yeah.
intent is not to
I've
overreach
seen
into
it. I've
people's
experienced
rights.
it.
Amy,
I've experienced it. I've
But
experienced it several times, and I don't wanna get into it unless I have to in this public meeting right now,
Mr.
but I've
Chairman,
experienced
would you entertain
people
a
telling me
motion?
that things that I did was not illegal, and giving me warnings and writing things that, like, I didn't threaten anybody or do anything wrong. And I've had people in this
This isn't-
department come after me and give me these, so this to me is like, well, if you just upset somebody, that's how, no, I understand
understand
Amy,
that's
I don't
how
think,
you're
I'm nothing towards
interpreting
Amy, this
No,
is.
no.
But that's not
This
the
is just like,
intent.
this is gonna be a rule now, so now people say, well, if somebody says you hurt their feelings, that's inappropriate,
No.
you know,
that's-
well, I mean, I just don't understand what they're, like, how you can, what is, like, if you're not breaking a law, how can you,
well, they also
Like-
gotta protect themselves too, to a
Protect them.
degree.
yeah.
You know, and this is mainly influenced by the recreational portion. So it's, you know, when they got 3,000 plus licenses, you know, and there's one
Will these
NRO
people
or.
just go clamming without a license?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
So if they take their license, they're gonna act aggressive and abusive and inappropriate, but then they're just, when you take their license away, they're gonna say, alright, well, I
Well,
guess.
they can't do it down there.
It's the effect of
It's-
like having a regulation that allows you to put somebody in timeout for a
Yeah.
minute, Jake. It's not to impede on anybody's
It's all
freedom of
privilege at
speech.
the end of the day.
It is, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people forget, is that, you know, the shell fishery belongs to the First People and also to the Commonwealth, and your interactions with it are a privilege. And as such, you know, there are expectations of how people should act when they're engaging with that privilege. And if you take that too far to a point that we feel is aggressive, abusive, or inappropriate with our staff, then we should have the ability to take away that privilege for a bit.
Absolutely.
I just
That's
can't
it.
agree with like
And Jake,
individuals' perspectives
Jacob.
without it being clearly defined,
And
but it's okay.
that's okay, and we can vote on it.
Jake.
And
the person can always appeal the decision.
I understand that,
Anyway.
but that's like, that's the punishment. You
Like-
know, it's like the process is the punishment, you know,
No.
so.
Well,
So,
all right.
you know, so you could hit somebody with this as many times as you want, and they gotta go through the hoops to get there. I understand that,
So you wanna leave these folks out there to take all kinds of.
I didn't realize they were at risk like this,
No.
but I just don't understand that taking somebody's license away is not gonna remove imminent threat. You know, like going through the process will not remove imminent threat. That's what I'm saying.
It's sort of akin to if I issue a citation for having
Someone's
too
gonna
much
threaten
seed
you.
in your basket.
Right.
If you pay the citation or if you appeal it, doesn't mean that you're never gonna put too much seed in your basket again. I'm not trying to correct people's inner beings. It's literally to address a situation when it happens that gives us the ability to take away somebody's privilege to that shell fishery for their egregious behavior.
Can we get an
Deter 'em from
example
doing it
besides
again.
Maybe
illegal,
deter them
what's
from
an
doing it
example
again.
besides a threat, which is illegal? What's an example besides a threat that's illegal?
I don't think I should
Where's it-
have to explain to you how inappropriate, closely amounting to sexual harassment should not be tolerated on the flats, but is a routine part of most staff's
So sexual
lives.
harassment is legal.
Sexual harassment is not legal, but if it's somebody just saying something to you, you saying that's inappropriate, and them not stopping, I wanna be able to tell them they're not welcome to Shellfish anymore today.
Yeah, their privilege is gone.
Your privilege has been revoked, you're obviously not getting the cues that we're providing you at this time. What you're doing is inappropriate, it's not registering, so I'm taking your Shellfish and you can leave.
Is that alright?
I mean, I just look at it as, I'm just First Amendment guy, I mean, freedom of speech, you know, I mean, if it's illegal, I don't think it's right, I definitely don't think that's
Okay,
right, for
okay.
sure.
Do we have the basis to where we can vote on this?
We do.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
You have a motion
Do I,
to approve the inclusion of this behavioral expectation regulation.
do I have a second? Alright, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Alright,
So just to follow up on that, because we haven't met in so long, I didn't put the ones that you guys had voted on for the SNAP permits up online yet. This is kind of a whole package, so they'll go up online for a period of, not less than a month, so that the general public can see them on the shellfishing page, on the natural resources page, and then I'll get a public hearing scheduled. And public, including yourself, if you want to be heard in the public hearing with your concerns for First Amendment rights, more than welcome to attend and have them heard at that time. But I do thank you for taking the vote.
someone wanna make a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Do I have a second?
That's all him, he's the pro. Right, I don't think anyone's done it more than him.
Second, alright, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Alright, we will see you guys next month.
Good night, everybody.